Can I just add something?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that the sort of like the Islamic understanding of God's nature, in my opinion anyways, is slightly skewed in terms of, yeah, so like understanding who God is. For example, do you know the Muslim explanation of why God took Jesus up instead, took Jesus up just before he died, and someone else died on the cross, right? Allah said basically that he made it look like that Jesus died, right? But it's someone completely different, right? So
Well, he
my
deceived
question today, yeah, I asked them today, like, can you explain this, and what does this tell you about God's nature? Yeah. Because to me it sounds like, because if we believe, yeah, that God is truth, right? If we believe God is truth, this naturally means that God can't incite a lie. He can't
Exactly.
inspire lies, right?
Yes, exactly.
By nature. So even if, for example, this was some way to punish the Jews or punish people, like basically because they explain that God uses their ways to punish them, right? Which I was like, okay, how does making someone else, some innocent person, die instead of Jesus is their way of getting punished? I don't know, but yeah. So how I told them, this is inciting a lie, not just for the Christians at that time, but also the non-Christian sources that said, yeah, Jesus died. What do they? What did the non-Christian people have to do with any of that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. What did they
And
say?
also, like, yeah, Islamic. I also, this is my like point to back that up. I was like, Islamically, we have like Jesus, and then we have the Prophet Muhammad, right? Islamically, we don't have a prophet named in between, right? Now, if God wanted to clear this up, he has all power to send another messenger to say, look, guys, Jesus didn't actually die, you know, God uh, God made it look like, basically there'll be prophets in between here, making sure that the Christians stay on the right track, right? But Islamically, we don't have a source there. And historically, if you look objectively, we don't have a source that says, yeah, Jesus was replaced by someone else. The only source that we have there is the Islamic source.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. In other words,
Yeah,
the evidence from those who were there in the first century, even that's why you have
yeah,
skeptical scholars like Bart Ehrman, whom they love, says it's a
yeah.
fact of
They
history.
quoted,
Christ was killed. Fact of history. Christ was killed. Yep.
yeah. So they even told me to look at that guy Bart Ehrman.
Good.
Honestly, before that discussion, I've never heard of him. So after this, I'll hopefully
Yeah,
get
Bart
into it.
Ehrman, he was an
Yeah,
agnostic atheist
right.
who lost his faith in the Bible
Okay.
because of the variant readings, but then lost his faith in God because of the suffering in the world. But I have dealt with Ehrman, and if you take Ehrman out of context, then you will be misled. But Ehrman, that they're appealing to, tells you, we know this as a fact of history. Jesus was killed by crucifixion. He also says, and I have the sources, and you can hear his lectures, that the disciples of Jesus, and he mentions two of them by name, Peter and Mary Magdalene, saw what he calls, what Ehrman calls, because he doesn't believe in God, bereavement visions, where they had visions where they believed they saw Jesus alive, physically, bodily, alive, and now he's living in heaven, physically, bodily, and begins ruling as God. And they went and started preaching that. This is what Ehrman says. So you see how dishonest they are. They'll tell you, go to Ehrman, who will tell you, well, there are a lot of variant readings in the Bible, but the same Ehrman will tell you, this is not my comment, this is him. He'll tell you, yeah, in spite of the variant readings, we can know that what we have today is what they basically wrote down back then. And you know how you know
Okay.
that's he believes that? You know how you know he believes that? He not only says it, but you know how you know he believes that the Gospels, the writings of the New Testament, they have been preserved in the extant manuscripts, and so that we can know what they wrote back then because of the copies we have today. You know how we know that he believes that, Adam?
No, honestly, this is all like new to
Okay,
me.
let me
Yeah.
tell you how.
Yeah.
Because he tells you This is what Mark said about Jesus. This is what Paul wrote about Jesus. How would he know what Paul or Mark wrote about Jesus if he didn't believe that you have what they originally wrote in the manuscripts? Actually, Peace for Life, I buried Shibir Ali, humiliated him, and I buried Muhammad and your Quran and his Satan, Allah. That's why he won't debate me again. My first debate, and he got smoked like Jesus smoked your prophet. Thank you, Lord Jesus. But anyway, coming back to you.
Yep.
Did you get it? When he tells you, Paul said this, say, Dr. Ehrman, how do you know Paul said that? Oh, because he wrote in 1 Corinthians. How do you know that's what he wrote in 1 Corinthians? Oh, because of the copies. Oh, you mean because of the copy?
Right. Okay.
You are able to confidently tell me this is what he wrote because of the copies of Corinthians showing us we have what he wrote? See that part? They don't tell you, which shows their dishonesty.